it was like, I just felt like I was like on a treadmill and I couldn't get off.
Yeah.
And it was heavy and it wasn't fun. It wasn't my path, but it took me a while to turn around and find my path.
Welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast, where we share new and different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Our guests come from many different and diverse backgrounds, and the one thing they all have in common is a passion for gratitude. I'm Julie Boyer, a gratitude and gut health expert, and I love showing you different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Hello, my friends. I'm so grateful that you're here. Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I'm inviting my friend Lisa Long to speak with us. She is a fantastic woman who has really been a leader as a psychic originally many years. She was actually one of the first psychics on the internet, but she is an incredibly accomplished woman. And we have a conversation that touches on so many things that I think will resonate with many of you. We talk about how she walked away from a marriage where everything seemed okay and on paper had a successful business with her husband and partner, and it turned out she just wasn't on the right path. It took a lot of courage to make that decision. We talk about Esther and Jerry Hicks and the book Ask and It Is Given. And we have a great conversation about how to raise our vibration and to spend more of our time in gratitude. We also move the conversation into talking about video games and how both Lisa and I like to have fun and enjoy ourselves playing video games. So if you're listening and you're a closet gamer like myself, this is giving you permission to go ahead and enjoy those video games and bring that joy and fun into your life. Before I share this interview with you, I wanted to share something really fun. Have you checked out my shop lately? If you go to wakeupwithgratitude.com, you'll see that the 2023 Wake Up With Gratitude calendar is already sold out. However, I am doing a very special clearance on my thank you cards. These thank you cards feature images taken here on Vancouver Island. Most of them are of the sunrise. There are 11 different designs to choose from, and the majority of these are blank inside. However, there are several that have words of gratitude inside them. And why I chose to put the words and the writing prompts inside is that I want to encourage you to send gratitude cards. These can be sent to family, friends, to clients, coworkers, whatever you choose. Right now, you can get them for $3.50 Canadian, or buy 3 and the 4th one is free. Once I've cleared out this inventory, we're going to make room for brand new designs later in 2023. And note that this clearance pricing will not be available on future orders, so it's a great time to stock up. Take a look at wakeupwithgratitude.com for more on these beautiful thank you cards. Okay, friends, let's get right into this interview with Lisa Long. Hello and welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Julie Boyer, and today I'm welcoming Lisa Long to the podcast. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Julie. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. I was so excited when I saw your podcast because gratitude is one of the main things that I help people with.
Oh, amazing. Well, I'm so excited to get into this and hear your story. And for those who have not yet had the chance to meet Lisa, she is an intuitive success coach for influencers and media professionals. She is a producer and a screenwriter, a master teacher, a member of SAG-AFTRA, a #1 best-selling author of several books, including 5 Easy Steps to Meditation and Be Meditating in 5 minutes. We'll link to that because you can actually download that book for free. She is a master teacher of the laws of the universe, a leadership and inspirational speaker, and a high-level psychic coach. In fact, she was one of the first psychics on the internet. So I can already tell we have so much to talk about, which is exciting to our audience here at the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. But first, as always, I love to hear a little bit about my guest's story. So Lisa, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, there's so much to share, but just
Well,
sort of
thank
some
you.
of the, things that might connect us back to, how gratitude became so important into your life and maybe your work as a psychic as well.
Well, I'm mainly a teacher now. I still
Okay.
do private sessions through my website, my main website, lisalong.com, but my classes are on the one that you'll link with the 5 Steps to Meditation book. And when I was married in Hawaii, and I was in publishing and advertising, and I always was psychic. I could always see my guides. I always knew things, but I kind of was given a hard time for knowing things. How do you know that? Because I could tell when people were lying and everything. And a lot of people would just tell me their personal stories or their deepest secrets, like total strangers. And I realized, okay, all these people are just talking to me like they've known me for 20 years. And when I was in Hawaii, I had this advertising agency publishing firm, and we did these big catalogs and everything. It was $1 million for a press run.
Wow.
And it was just me, it was me and my ex. And it just felt so heavy. It's like life felt heavy. And I got guidance to go to a bookstore and get a spiritual book. It almost fell off the shelf. and I brought it home and I started reading it. And I'd already, read some over the years, but I kind of gave them up because I was in business and doing professional. I had employees in Hawaii. That's my 11/11 reminder. So.
Oh, it's like I heard a bell ring and I thought, is the doorbell ringing here? But my dogs didn't bark. So.
That's my 11/11 333. So you set it up on whatever you want to remind you, and then it comes on and says laugh and appreciate. So you move your vibration up at that time.
So we'll definitely get back into the reminders. Okay. I want to talk more about that because I think that's really important. So I'll let you continue with your story, but I've made a note to go back to that.
Okay, cool. So my ex, we built this beautiful house overlooking with a pool, with a waterfall overlooking the Kailua Kona coast. Had kids and offices in Boulder and Hawaii. And I was so stressed out. I was working all the time. It was hard to even enjoy the life because we were working all the time. And my ex wanted me to put my spiritual books in the cupboard. He didn't want anybody to see them. And I'm like, oh. And then the angels came to my house. And my ex was Jewish and he didn't believe in any of this weird shit. And for me, it was like, oh, hi, guys. Like my friends appeared and I could see them and everything. And I'm going to take this off. It's making noise. And so all at once, I was just like, oh, hi, guys. I see you. Let's have fun. And they told me, you're not behind, but you had other things you were going to do with this life. This isn't it. And I'm like, oh shit. And all at once I felt this, I'm behind kind of energy, but because I set up what I wanted to do in this life and I wasn't quite doing it yet. And my ex, who didn't believe in any of this stuff, all at once started experiencing his past lives as a woman in Egypt and all these ancient countries. And he was full body channeling and they were taking him through all these past lives and everything. And it just blew his mind. And he ended up becoming a pretty famous angel artist. Like if you buy angel books, he's in some of them.
Wow.
And he's still a painter. And he left. And I opened World Psychics with my partner who showed up within days. My new partner, Michael McAvoy. And because I would say stuff like, to my ex, I would say, oh, I just know that, or I see that, or do you see that, or do you get that? And he'd like, no, that's dumb. Like, leave me alone. I don't believe that crap. And then I met Michael, and he's like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. And Michael was one of the, he was like an awakened Edgar Casey.
Mm-hmm.
So he could read anybody anywhere. And we did all our sessions from Hawaii with our eyes closed over the telephone. There was no Zoom then. And for people, I'd read people all over the world. So somebody would call me in like England and want a session, and they'd ask about their brother who's in Indonesia, right? And I can read everybody anywhere. Yeah. So I taught him how I read, which was emotions, and Michael taught me how he read, which was minds. He could read minds. And so then we became world psychics and did that for 15 years or so until he went to the other side in 2009. He was 18 years older than me. And he left with almost the same thing. He left with a form of leukemia that, Esther Hicks.
Yeah.
I've talked to Esther a few times. I've met her. And she has a similar, Jerry left within 3 months of Michael with the same thing. Yeah. And they both left with a form of leukemia, and I think Jerry was 20 years older than her.
It's, just pause for a sec, just in case people aren't familiar. You and I are speaking familiarly with Esther and Jerry Hicks. So my favorite book of theirs is called Ask and It Is Given. And, can you just explain a little bit about the relationship between Esther and Jerry?
Well, I can't really.
They were, but
he had a wonderful relationship.
Yeah, no, I meant like in terms of the channeling that would happen, right?
So he supported her channeling, which was so nice. Like they went all over the world, and she's still doing it now, channeling for a huge group. They came here right after COVID opened up, and I went I'm in the Denver area, and I went and saw her again. But I've been on 3 cruises with her.
Oh, so
she even waved at me.
So cool. So, okay, let's pause for a minute, because you've shared some incredible things already in such a very short time. And I am wondering, some of our listeners might be like, a little bit like your ex-husband was before he had his like awakening moment, before he connected with the angels and past lives and all of that. So if someone right now is listening and they're like, Lisa, this sounds great, but like, I don't really know how I can believe in any of this. Like, I'm not sure this makes any sense. Like, what do you say to someone when and maybe deep down, they're having experiences, but they're just right. Like they said, they're putting their spiritual books in the closet, like with the cupboard doors closed. So what do you say to someone like that who might be listening in and going, I don't know, Lisa, I'm not sure if this stuff is real or not?
Well, you can't go back. And once you know stuff, and my life basically blew up. I mean, I had this it's like a multi-million-dollar house and business and everything in Hawaii. And all at once, everything blew up. And I went back to I went and lived in Indonesia for 3 months, because it was actually cheaper to fly to Indonesia during the divorce and live there, and then to rent a house in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because it was so expensive. And so my whole life changed when all that happened, because literally took us a few years to ground back into our body.
Wow.
Because we were so high level. I was so high level. People would think things, and I'd have these darts hitting me and stuff. Like I could see these arrows and darts and pulling swords out. It was really bad. And so I had to clear all that stuff. Even like I took my daughter to the elementary school, and the lady looked at me like, oh, you haven't combed her hair right. See, I can hear all the thoughts. Why didn't you comb her hair? And I'm like dodging these darts coming at me. And so it's intense. And most people don't go through that level, but I did, because I was really asking to wake up. I was really asking for something better. So if you ask, then all at once you go, it's like a big change. But if you're continually, staying in gratitude like you teach, and and just moving up. Okay, let's turn on this ability and let's turn on that ability and let me just be more of who I am. Then it's a more easier path. But a lot of things in your life are going to change. I do not teach, oh, do this and everything's just going to get better.
Right.
Because a lot of times it gets worse for a while.
Yeah, it's so true. The change that ends up being the life-changing thing doesn't always start out really good. And, there's something else you said that really struck a chord, and I think will strike a chord with our listeners, is you had everything. You had this really successful business. You were living in Hawaii, you had the family, all these things. And you didn't even have time to enjoy it. There wasn't the joy. And
well, it felt heavy.
It felt heavy.
It was like, I just felt like I was like on a treadmill and I couldn't get off.
Yeah.
And it was heavy and it wasn't fun. It wasn't my path, but it took me a while to turn around and find my path.
Yeah. Oh, Lisa.
And I was so loyal in the marriage.
Right.
A woman pulled him out of the marriage.
Okay.
And if she hadn't done that, I would have just suffered longer because I was being loyal. Right?
I think a lot of what happened in your past and your story is relevant today for a lot of people. And, we're on video right now. I know you're listening to the audio, but Lisa has the word joy lit up behind her in the video frame. And I also this year, I've made decisions that allowed me to just choose to be in joy as much as possible in the day. And when I shared that with a few people, their rebuttal to that is, well, yes. And, you know that you need to work hard in order to be successful, in order to have money and all these things. And I was like, I hear you, but I tried that model for a really long time and it completely burnt me out. And my body rebelled against me and won't let me work and all these things. And I hear your story, Lisa, and I feel this vibration of joy. And I look to you as a shining light in a sea of people that are just, the joy has gone out of their lives. So you mentioned about go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, well, we're brainwashed with it.
Right.
We're brainwashed with do this, do that, be successful. If you're successful and if you have a nice car and if you have a nice house, and they don't tell you if you're happy, you're successful.
Yeah,
happiness brings more success.
Sure.
It's a higher dimension, it's a higher vibration, which is what you teach. The gratitude
puts
you on a higher dimension, and that draws towards you everything you desire, and it's easy and it's flowing. But not at first, usually, because you got your old subconscious patterning and beliefs you have to let go of to get there.
Yeah. The letting go, I think, is the hardest. And I think, like you said, it's this story we've been told for so long that, if you just work hard, you'll be successful, especially as entrepreneurs, right? It's you just have to work hard as an entrepreneur and you'll be successful. And I was like, but I've been working hard for over 15 years and I don't feel really successful as they say.
Yeah. So, and I worked hard. I was successful and it sucked. Put it bluntly. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'd rather have fun and play.
Yeah.
Drive an old car. And just enjoy my life. And I'm sure I could buy a new car at some point, but it's not important to me to show the world who I am in that way. Right?
Oh,
like a 14-year-old. Oh, look, I got this hot car. Boom, 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 and they run down the street. And they're really loud when they push your gas. And I go, I'm impressed because I'm not.
That's what you just said though, right? It's it's not important for me to show people about how impressive I am, right? Like with my car or whatever. And yeah, we definitely, even though I said I wasn't caught up in that, I definitely did get caught up in that. But now I'm very happy. You know, my vehicle is almost 5 years old and we're keeping it. We leased it also because there are no hybrid vehicles available. And I'm just glad I have one. So I'm grateful to keep it and it's better for the environment if we keep things for longer. So all good things,
nice.
all good things.
I mean, I'd love to have a Tesla or something, but right now I have my broadcast studio in the garage, so I couldn't put it in. I wouldn't want a new car if I can't put it in a garage.
Yeah, especially where you live, for sure.
And it's priorities. What makes you happy?
What makes you happy? What brings you joy? And I think also that so many people forgot what brings us joy, or we don't want to admit the things that bring us joy because we're like embarrassed that it's something really little, or that we don't want to strive anymore. And that, you know, if we're not striving, then we can't possibly be in joy. And, you know, one of the things that I know for a long time that this brings me joy is to go to the beach and watch the sunrise and take photos. The taking photos thing is actually part of my joy, is sharing my photos. That's a huge thing of joy to my life. And, you know, I really like struggled with myself on the value of that, right? Like, what's the value in just taking photos of a sunrise?
It's sharing love and joy and beauty. Yeah. That's bringing light to the world.
Yeah.
Because wherever you go, when you're vibrating a high level vibration, wherever you go, you're literally externalizing light codes through your DNA, and it catches it. Other people around you feel it. Just like the people who are listening to this will feel the energy I'm running. It will help make them feel better. It'll help uplift them. But the next day, they might cry more. Because once you move to another higher level vibration, then all the stuff that doesn't vibrate at that level comes up to clear. That's why it's a process. You just keep moving up. So you get higher, and then you're, I'm great. The next day you're like, oh shit, I'm crying.
But you don't drop down as low as you were before.
Oh, no,
right?
You never do.
Yeah, that's it.
But you have to be willing to clear those beliefs. They'll come up. Well, mama said, well, daddy said, well, they didn't know, they were asleep. They had no idea how to wake up consciously.
Yeah.
They did the best they could. They came out of World War II, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they, I mean, it was heavy and dense then, and they came in, and now it's our turn to bring higher levels. And then the young kids are bringing even higher levels of joy and wonderment and appreciation. And they just know, kids just know that they have value until people hammer them down.
Yeah. My daughter hasn't been in a public education system since partway through second grade, and she's in what would be seventh grade. It's so funny. She always asks me, she's like, what grade am I in? I'm like, well, you'd be in seventh grade, but because she's been home with me for this time, we don't have that. And I do find that, you know, she's thankfully not had a lot of her passion and her childhood spirit. You know, she's a 12-year-old who enjoys playing still with horses, like figurine horses and things, like a lot of very childish things, but it's play and it's creative play. And I love it so much. And I feel like if she had been potentially in the traditional school system, you know, that play, because a lot of 12-year-olds are home doing homework every night. They're in all bunch of activities. And then they go to bed and wake up and do the same thing every day. So the space for play, like you said, it's not even in their lives anymore. And then it's about finding it again as adults. So you found it. You found play.
Well, they would have made fun of her. The other kids would have made fun of her.
For sure.
And then she would have had to deal with the peer pressure.
Yeah.
And find herself again. I'll get back to your question in a second. But when I was little, I was totally awake. Right. I could see my parents were alcoholics, abusive, and they fought all the time. And I could see these dark boogies. I call them little boogies. And I teach people how to clear those. I have a free video on YouTube, Lisa Long's The Release. And the little boogies would stick to them and egg them on. like, in the picture where there's a little bad guy on the shoulder and a little good guy on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, these little boogies are little dark. They're not fuzzy because they're not physical. So they're like cloudy. They're cloudy thought forms.
Okay.
And the only way they stay in existence is by getting energy. So they run around trying to get energy from people.
Mm.
And so if you're in depression, you're on a low dimension and you attract more of those.
Right.
Boogies. And then if one of them floats over, and I'm working on screenplays and stuff to bring this to the world through the entertainment industry. And when they I'm in the entertainment industry too.
Mm.
And so when they stick, they attract more like them. And then your level goes down. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, then this little boogie can float over and it'll be attracted. It'll stick on you. And then more people, it'll attract more boogies like that.
Right.
Right. And so then you feel heavier and heavier and heavier. And then you do the release and you're clear. And it sends them into the light. I don't throw them off because then they're still floating around.
Okay, so I made a note so that we can link back so that people can find that. That's really amazing.
Yeah, what was your question?
No, my question was just about how you found play in your life.
Oh, gosh, I'm still finding it.
This is the thing, though. You talk about these things, joy and the creative arts and play and all these things that society has told us aren't important. But I think we've got it totally backwards.
Oh, yeah, we do. I play video games.
So do I.
I love them. And my kids got me into it, and then they couldn't get their computer back 2 years ago. And they loved it because their mom was doing something with them. And yeah, I stopped. I used to work, gosh, sometimes I worked to 1 or 2 in the morning, right? I mean, I worked all the time. I was looking at the light table before they had, when I was doing paste up and making magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
Looking in a fluorescent light. And it was working all the time. And then I computerized, and that's when we became real successful.
Yep.
Because I was an early adopter. But I was still working all the time. And now I don't work that much. I play more. I have more fun. People pay me a lot of money to talk to me personally as a personal psychic.
Yeah.
And I have classes for people who can't afford my personal sessions because I want to help people up level. And I want to help people understand that they have value in this world and that we're here to play. The kids know it.
Yeah.
And if you just watch successful people, as far as successful in joy and doing fun things, a lot of them, they don't work very hard.
Yeah. I hear myself in your story because I thought I didn't work that much, but I did. I worked so much and worked myself into a state of chronic pain where I could not even use my computer at all. It didn't matter how I set it up. It didn't matter standing, sitting, ergonomic, whatever. Nothing was allowing me to even be working on my computer. And I would get mad at myself if I would stop and play video games, or I would be frustrated if I was late coming back from the beach in the morning, right? All these things because I had to get more work done. And I just realized, this summer that I really had it backwards. And it's interesting, you mentioned video games, and, most people don't know, they might know that I'm married to a gamer. My husband is a gamer. He's been a gamer since he was a teenager. He does live streaming on Twitch. So he loves playing games, but I also enjoy playing games, not to the same sort of level, but it's fun. And also you learn stuff, and it's also you can improve your emotional intelligence when you play a game. And
your brain too, because you're you
problem
really
solving.
It's your brain working.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out. And it's small motor skills.
Yep.
Unless you have a Wii with
No.
Where you can do large.
No fitness. No. No, we don't.
No, but some of the games are fun. Yeah. Like I have one where you actually run, right? And you run and you're literally running and you have these things on your legs and stuff and they know when you're running. And it's pretty cool. And that's good for the winter. Thanks for reminding me about that because there's snow outside and I can't go running.
I don't know. I just think, there's such a negative, somebody decided that video games are bad. And I think that there can be so much benefit. And because of the play and the fun you can have and the joy that you can, when you achieve something in a game, like it's so much fun. So Lisa, I think you've just opened this door for a lot of people with our conversation today. I think reminded other people of things that they had forgotten about and ways to connect back into their joy. I want to bring it back to gratitude for a minute. Something you said to me when we had our conversation before we recorded the podcast was you had said that gratitude can put you on a different dimension.
Well, it does.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
It does. See, the lower dimension, depression. Mm-hmm. See, we exist on all dimensions. We're everywhere. We're multidimensional. But most people in human consciousness are kind of looking out through the material plane and they think that this table's real and everything's real and that's all there is. And then as you start waking up, you get fourth dimensional consciousness. So you start questioning a lot of your belief systems and waking up. And then when you get to like fifth dimensional consciousness, you're teaching and stuff, and you can hold the fields, you can hold the energy. When people are at a lower level, you pull them up without getting their crap. But if you start too early, you can pick up their crap and then that'll pull you down. So you've got to work on yourself to get clear. And so gratitude, your higher self is always on like a really high dimension. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the second, third, fourth, that's all. We're just making that up because it's not really that way. But I mean, you could say it's thousands and millions of dimensions because it really is. And so, but your higher self is always way up there in love, joy, happiness, appreciation, abundance. Mm-hmm. And so the more you get your vibration up, your higher self is always moving toward everything you've asked for. You said you read the book, Ask and Receive. So it's already become what you want. And it's radiating that energy of you are this. So if you want to be a great writer, your higher self's already a great writer. Right? And it holds that vibration. But your mind says, well, but I don't know how to spell, or, but. And so you have all these buts you clear. And then, but do I have to market it? And but. And so eventually you get there.
Okay.
But the more you hold the vibration of love, appreciation, gratitude, then the opportunities come to you because your higher self's already at that vibration. So all at once you'll get like, call this person or turn left when you're walking, or go to Starbucks and get a coffee, or some simple thing, and you'll meet somebody who will say, oh, I need a writer, or I need a person who does this. Otherwise, if you're at a low vibration, you won't act on those impulses. Yeah. And so it totally changes your whole life when you stay at a high vibration, and it makes it ease and flow. That's where ease is, because it's vibrating faster.
Right.
When you're vibrating slow, it's working through mud.
Right. And then
why you think you have to work.
Yes. So if you're in the fast flowing river, you're just going with the current instead of, I think most of us have spent our lives swimming upstream against the current. So we
were trained. It was
right. We were trained that way.
Of years of
I know. It's incredible. So you gave us a really great strategy very early in our conversation about these reminders that you have in your phone. So tell me about those.
I used to have them every hour, but it got annoying.
It's a lot.
It's like, so I put it on right now. I have it at 11:11 and 3:33, and I think 5:55 or 6 or whatever. I have it on 3 times a day, and it says, and it just is on my calendar, and it says laugh and appreciate, and so then the computer automatically brings it up. Ding. Reminder, laugh and appreciate, right? So if I'm feeling kind of like unconscious. Sometimes you go unconscious.
Sure.
And so if I'm unconscious and I hit that, I hear that, I'm like, oh, wake up.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put wake up.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's what the podcast is, right?
Yeah. You could just,
wake up with
something
gratitude.
gets you to go forward and come back to yourself.
Yeah. Come back.
So.
It's true, because everything is happening. Like, it's already happened and it's all right now. And we just forget because our head, we live somewhere else. Like we're not present to what is actually here right now. And a reminder on our phone, like you said, and those great times, 11:11 or 1:11, like those times in your phone just bring you back and like remind you and put you. And that's really what, for me, a gratitude practice does, is it like reminds me right now, like where am I? I'm here I am now. This is it. There's nothing is wrong in this moment.
Well, and the gratitude is not big things. It's little things.
Little things. Yeah.
It's like right now I'm warm. I'm so glad they made heaters.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
Like, there's, and I have a blankie, it's like if it's cold, I put my blankie on. It's like, and the computer I love my computer. See, can you feel that when I said I love my computer, my heart burst, right?
Yeah.
So I felt a heart burst come out. But when you just run these this is so cool, and I love this, and I love this little ring I bought, and I love my earrings, and I love my hair, and you just start getting into and you'll start feeling it, and that's the key. If you go, I love my hair, and you get a gut crunch, then don't do that, because you're not ready for it.
Ooh, that's important.
I like my hair, or maybe I kind of like my hair, until you don't feel the gut crunch.
Yeah.
And then you can move forward again. But that's a lot of people just teach.
Right. To pretend like it.
And that's, you have to feel the energy and see if it's flowing.
Yeah. It reminds me of Louise Hay and affirmations, where I think the affirmations got turned into something that was aspirational, as opposed to affirming the things that you love, what you have already, this, desire to bring goodness into her life. Like one of my favorite Louise Hay things was like going around your kitchen and just thanking your appliances, right? Oh, I'm so grateful for my blender. Thank you for me. Like I make a shake every morning. I have a beautiful Vitamix blender that I've had now for, I think 11 years. It's beautiful. And I love my blender. We use it 2 or 3 times a day, every single day. Right. But like you said, no one's going to think about being grateful for a blender, but it's just this like beautiful way to put yourself in that high vibration as often as possible. I can feel it right now. I'm sure our listeners can feel it. I feel the energy from you sharing with us today. I'm just loving it so much.
And when you love I like my coffee pot. It's like, and my coffee, and you just start out loving things, and it just flows, and it gets easier every day. It gets easier, and it pulls you out of that crap, because the crap floats around Earth. So it's not just your crap. There's stuff around Earth. So when you get in gratitude, you get above it, and that stuff doesn't even bother you anymore. Freedom.
I have a big world vision, and I dream of a world where everyone simply chooses to wake up with gratitude, because it is free, it is easy, and it is life-changing when you make that decision to choose to find things to be grateful for. Just starting your day, even if that's the only time you practice gratitude in your day, it lifts your vibration. I think it was Esther Hicks who said it's like those first 17 seconds or something after you're consciously awake. It's like, what are those thoughts? And plant those into your mind as you go through.
Go to bed with gratitude too.
And go to bed. Absolutely.
Love your pillow, love your blankie, love you go, oh, this is so nice. This feels so good. And then you only have to do it for a few seconds, and then you'll wake up in a better vibration.
Absolutely.
But don't judge yourself if you don't.
Right. Just as important.
Just go get your coffee or something.
Oh my goodness. Lisa, I could talk to you for hours. I adore you. I love your energy. It's coming through the screen, and I'm sure that our podcast listeners will feel it through this conversation. You mentioned a lot of links. We'll place them into the show notes. But for those that are listening and want to find you, where's the easiest way to find you on the internet?
EnlightenedLifeAcademy.com.
Great.
Yeah.
Send people there. Thank you so much again, Lisa. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with today?
Understand that you are much more than you've ever believed you are. And, people say love yourself. Well, if you come out of a dark place, that's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So every little step in that loving direction brings you closer. So just take little baby steps at a time to love something simple in your life and appreciate it, and it'll start flowing, and that's the momentum, and it builds and it gets easier.
Awesome.
Because you have your higher self helping you the whole way, which you call God or Source or whatever, Buddha. It doesn't matter. They don't care. Just whatever's creating you and that you're creating your existence, your source of life is loving you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for being with us today on the podcast. I appreciate you, and I'm just so thankful that we connected in this way.
Oh, thank you, Julie. God bless you. Take care.
Thanks for sticking around till the end of the podcast. I appreciate you. If you're not already following us on your favorite app, make sure you click on the check or follow podcast so you'll be alerted every time there's a new podcast episode. If you enjoyed the episode and want to help us grow, here's some easy things that you can do. You can leave a review on your favorite app. You can share this podcast with a friend and send it directly. And you can also share through social media. Feel free to tag me on any posts in your stories and I'll repost. Thank you to Paul Tedeschini for doing the post-production audio for the podcast. And one last thing. I hope you're choosing to wake up with gratitude every single day.